So, morning guys. Let's start with one more standard now. A16 borrowing cost. As I was doing earlier, let's first finish off theory discussion of this standard today. And in the next session, we will be doing all the problems together. Okay. All the standards. Okay. Now, A16 borrowing cost. A16 borrowing cost. I'll first give you a background why this standard has come. What is the necessity for a standard for your borrowing cost alone? Okay. Say there is a construction company. There's a construction company and there is an individual. Okay. Now, what is the business of a construction company? To build flats. I'm just giving an example. To build flats and sell it each flat as a unit, that is a saleable unit, and on sale of it he gets some revenue. Now for the same flat, by a construction company, he would incur multiple expenses like material, labor, overheads and all. Along in this overheads, there is something called as finance cost also. Okay. Now, what does finance cost mean here? The construction company generally might not have money to build a particular project. Okay. So what they do is they lend money from financial institutions who will be able to fund such projects, and then that finance cost is added to their cost. That interest component, whatever is being paid on the finance taken, is generally added to the cost. And finally, when profit is arrived, that is revenue minus all your costs. When profit is arrived, you arrive at net after your finance charges. Okay, net after your finance charges. So that means you're setting aside whatever costs you have against the revenue, and net is only being mentioned as profit. Okay. Now what are you doing here? You are adding the finance cost also to your unit. Okay. Now keep this logic aside. Now, when it comes to an individual or someone who intends to build their house on their own, or a particular project on their own, what would be the cost incurred by them? There would be material which is incurred, there will be labor which is incurred, there will be overheads which are incurred. Okay. In these overheads again, you will have finance cost at times. You might not have finance cost also at times. Why? Because an individual or an entity may construct their particular project using their own money, or they may lend money from somebody and construct a particular building. Now what triggered here is whenever an interest is paid by a company or an individual, that is considered as a finance cost, and it is generally charged to P&L. That is, it is considered only as an expense. Any finance cost, that is interest cost, is generally considered as expense in P&L. However, there are times a few years back which created a question stating a construction company, if it builds a particular project and sells, the standard allows them to consider fixed cost, finance cost as part of their project cost. But the same finance cost, if incurred by an entity on its own construction, is not being allowed. Don't you think it is unfair? Don't you think it is unfair? Yes. That is the backdrop in which AS 16 was formulated. Okay. AS 16 came in that backdrop, and it stated that there are few borrowing costs which have to be capitalized, subject to certain ifs and buts. Now what we are going to do is, we will be going through those ifs and buts. Okay. We will understand what the standard talks about the borrowing cost, which is supposed to be added to the cost of the project. Okay. Now, having said about the background, let us now get into the standard. Now, standard wise, the standard talks about borrowing cost incurred. How this borrowing cost is to be recognized. That means it does not tell only about what is to be capitalized. It also tell you about what is to be expensed also. Okay. So any borrowing cost incurred, whether it should be capitalized or it should be expensed off, both are being given a guideline here. Okay. Now, in this, what is not considered as a borrowing cost? That is scope exclusions. In borrowing cost, what is not considered as a borrowing cost? Okay. Now, number one, any income generated on owner's funds. Any income generated on owner's funds. What does that mean? In FM, financial management, you'd have heard a word called KE. What does that mean? Cost of equity. Okay. Cost of equity. What does equity mean? Equity means owner's funds only. Okay. Owner's funds only. That means if at all I pay some money to owners for the usage of their own funds, in such case, that alone is not considered as part of your funds which are utilized, and it is not part of borrowing cost. Okay. Secondly, items forming part of equity and not classified as a liability. That means which are considered as equity but not liability. What can happen like that? Maybe promoter might have given, there are two partners. One of the partners have given some amount of loan to the company. Okay. But since it is something which is convertible into equity in future, it need not be considered as loan funds. Anyways, it's going to be converted into equity later. Okay. In such case, it's considered as own funds only. Okay. So such elements, if any, are supposed to be considered as your own funds only. Okay. So these are the couple of items which are excluded as part of your borrowing cost. Now, what are the elements considered in borrowing cost? That means there are multiple types of finance charges. What all will be considered as finance charges is the question. Okay. So standard gives you a list of items which are considered as finance charges, or elements which are considered as borrowing cost. Number one, any interest paid. Okay. Any interest and commitment charges. Any interest and commitment charges paid on bank borrowings. Okay. Then any discounts and premiums, any discounts and premiums on the borrowings made, and to the extent amortized. Okay, then there could be ancillary costs for arranging the loan. What does that mean? You may spend something called as processing fees. You may spend something called as processing fees. Okay, any such processing fees incurred, these are basically initial lending facility charges. Okay, then there would be something called finance charges, with respect to finance lease. Okay, finance charges in case of finance lease, these are also considered as borrowing costs only. Okay, so like this, there are set of items which are given. And one more important aspect, whenever there is a forex exchange rate difference, okay, exchange rate difference, okay, so any such exchange rate differences which are incurred, okay, so predominantly these are something what we considered as borrowing costs under AS 16. Clear? Now, can there be something other than these? Of course, yes. At times you may have an existing loan. Okay, so you would like to shift this loan to some other bank. You may have to shift this loan to some other bank. That means there is something called swapping of loan. Why do people do that swapping of loan? Because, say for example, the existing loan what you have is 12% loan, and a new banker has approached you, another banker has come to you and said that he is willing to take over this loan. That means he would repay this loan to the banker, the first banker, and he will be giving you the loan at a discounted rate of 9%. Instead of 12%, it's 9%. What happens then? My interest cost going forward is going to reduce, yes or no? My interest cost going forward is going to reduce, and he says 1% of processing fees or 2% of processing fees. Now, that 9% is borrowing cost only. 9% is borrowing cost. But the swapping fees what he is charging, there is no value addition for you in this construction or the asset whatever you are building, yes or no? In such case, such swapping fees whatever is incurred will not be considered as a borrowing cost. Okay, so such exclusions, special items could be there. From case to case, it depends whether it is supposed to be considered as a borrowing cost or not. Okay, so with this intro, now let us get into standard what it talks about. Now, before we go there, you need to understand what is a qualifying asset. What is a qualifying asset? Now, it is given in the standard. It's basically an asset. It is basically an asset which takes substantial period of time. For it to get ready to use. Okay, for it to get ready for its intended use. Now, there are few words which are important. Which takes substantial period of time. Okay, for its intended use. Okay, or sale. Okay, now what does substantial period of time mean? Fairly speaking, there is no specific number of months which is given inside the standard. However, it's generally understood that if it takes at least 12 months of time to construct a particular asset, then it is said to be a substantial period of time. Okay, now what does intended use or sale mean? What does intended use or sale mean? It is basically I should wait for the asset till it is available for use. Just like that, constructing and finishing it off something is not sufficient. It should be something in a usable mode. It should be something in a usable mode. Let me give you some examples. I have constructed a particular building in 15 months. Okay. 15 months I have constructed a building. By end of 15 months, in this building, all the floors, doors and all, everything is fit. However, electricity is not at all fit. Now, is it intended for use? No. Electricity is not available, in which case no lighting would be there, no fans, no AC, no facilities for life at all. Yes or no? In such case, you cannot consider it as the intended use is ready. Okay, it is ready for intended use. Okay, same way, there is one more word called or for sale. Or for sale. What does that mean? If at all you're manufacturing an asset, or if at all you're creating an asset which is intended for sale, in such case you're supposed to see that the intended sale is basically met. That means the product whatever you are manufacturing now should be in a saleable position. Some customer should be there for you to purchase that. For example, say you have constructed a machine which took you 2 years. Okay, at the end of 2 years it is not fully usable because it is not movable from one place to another. If it is not movable, there would not be possibility of sale from me at all. In such case, what standard suggests is, instead of taking it as a asset, you're supposed to postpone your recognition of asset, because the asset is not ready for sale. Okay, so saleability is something which is important. Okay, so these are two criteria which are supposed to be satisfied. Now, when I say qualifying asset, does that mean a non-current asset or a current asset? Is there any requirement that it should mandatorily be a non-current asset only? Fairly speaking, standard does not give you such differences at all. That means a qualifying asset can be either a non-current asset or a current asset. In either of these cases, what is important is it should be a physical asset. That is something which can be touched, seen and felt. Okay, it should be a physical asset. That means if at all it's a non-current asset, it is supposed to be a fixed asset. Okay, if at all it is a current asset, it has to be stock. Because in current assets, you might have investments, you may have cash and bank balances, you may have debtors, you may have stock. Predominantly the 4 items. Out of these 4, something physical is only stock. Okay, so hence, if at all a qualifying asset is supposed to be identified in the balance sheet, it is either a fixed asset in non-current assets, and it's gonna be your stock which is a current asset. Okay, these are the only 2 possibilities what you have for qualifying assets. Okay, now let us get into the recognition criteria. Okay, recognition criteria. What does recognition criteria mean here? It means when should I add the borrowing cost to my cost of the qualifying asset? Okay, when should I add your borrowing cost to cost of qualifying asset? Okay, so for this, standard says there are 2 important aspects to be checked. First one, it is probable that the qualifying asset will result in future economic benefits. That means number one, what is important is future economic benefits. Okay. Now, please see the word used here. I have mentioned called probable. Probable. Please recollect AS 29 what we discussed. Probable means the likeliness of something to happen is more than not to happen. The likeliness of something to happen is more than not to happen. In such case, we use the word called probable. What does possible mean? Just recollecting what we discussed then. Possible means, possible is basically it may happen, might not happen. May happen, might not happen. But probable indicates the probability of something to happen is greater when compared to not to happen. Okay. Now here the word used is, it is probable. Okay. The word used here is probable. Second, costs that are to be capitalized can be measured reliably. Costs can be measured reliably. Now, first point, what does that mean? Future economic benefits should be probable. That means by constructing a particular asset, it should not become a demo piece for me. It should not be a painting on the wall. It should generate some future economic benefits for me. Okay. Only then I consider it to be a qualifying asset. That is, only then I would think about adding the borrowing cost to my cost of the asset. Okay, to the qualifying asset. Second important thing, costs can be measured reliably. What do costs mean? Here he is talking about borrowing cost only. He's talking about borrowing costs. Okay, that means whatever expenses you are incurring, whatever finance charges you are incurring, you should be able to measure them reliably. Only in that case, only in such case, you're going to recognize borrowing costs against a particular fixed asset. Okay, so this is with respect to recognition. Now, having said about recognition, let us talk about types of borrowing cost. Types of borrowing cost. Borrowing costs are dependent on types of borrowings actually. Types of borrowings. Okay,